Chilling, man. Just ready for the 2022 One Nation Radio Awards coming to you on February 26th, 2023. So this is going to be a good night. I'm sipping on some wine since it is a festive, joyous occasion with, we're giving out awards tonight. So I figured, I'd, loosen up a little bit. I got a lot of funny stuff to say. And it is a weekend of awards, apparently, because, the day of awards dropped a couple days ago, too.
Well, it's always like award season around this time because, you a Laker fan, what has to happen in LA around early February, like the second week of February,
the road trip
slash the you're right, like the Grammys road trip that always happens. So when we would do this, we'd always all right, we know Meltzer's always dropping in the middle of February, so we need to do ours a week before and kind of put it there. So it's always the Grammys. And then at that point in time, you have the Oscars in February. You also have for wrestling the Observer Awards. So we always try to undercut Meltzer by a week, and then we kept slacking off. I never got my votes in for this, but it didn't matter because none of my votes would have changed anything except for maybe one thing. And then you had your trip and everything, and then we end up. It took a while for you to count all the votes. So you always count the votes by yourself.
This year, actually, I ended up shaving a little bit of time because I figured out something in Sheets to where all I had to do was get the right numbers in, and then I could have that shit added up for me. So cut down probably at least 45 minutes this year, which I was very pleased about. Okay.
So here we are. This time we're last, but it's gonna be fun. Especially after the aftermath of what always comes every time PWI 500 comes out. Anytime Women's 150 comes out. Anytime the Observer Award comes out, people get upset and bent out of shape about stuff they did not watch, so therefore it has to be somehow inferior or whatever else. And instead of just being
rigged, it has to be cheated, it has to be paid for.
As opposed to me and you, when we watched WWE and we saw some of these Observer Awards, when we first started listening to Observer, we were like, that's interesting. And then we watched Wrestle Kingdom 9, and then it's oh, okay, I get it. If you don't, I kind of find it's going to sound very pretentious. I don't care. It's fine. It's snobbish. I get it. I'm with you. It is. I don't care. I'm gonna stop at this point, right? And I don't take any pride in that, but there's a lot of wrestling out there, a lot of quality wrestling out there, and if you're only watching one or two things, you're not watching all of it. And even if you try to watch all of it, you couldn't. There's too much stuff in the day for anyone to watch. But if you can get enough recommendations from people that watch stuff that you don't watch, it can lead you towards seeing some really cool stuff around the world every single year.
Yep.
And that's the path that me and you chose. But when I see people that we talk to that were in the same I don't say bubble, but in the WWE only kind of section that we were, they might see stuff and absolutely agree that hey, this is, some of the best stuff I've ever seen. But then all right, do you want to follow up on any of that? No, not really. I want to kind of stay in the rivers and lakes that I'm used to. And I'm that's one way to handle it. But I just feel there's so much great stuff out there that I want to see. I want to see as much of it as I can. That's why I took my ass to Japan.
I had you may have seen the text message. I was a lot of the the people that were upset were primarily a lot of the WWE only fans and stuff like that.
A lot of that, yeah.
And my thing is all right, if you look at the way, let's say for example, AEW is judged. This used to be New Japan, right? And it would be because AEW is getting a lot of the criticisms that New Japan got, and it was like a test run for all the no stories stuff, the women stuff. Everything happened to New Japan a couple years before AEW was established, and then it fully crested now, right? The level of scrutiny that AEW faces compared to WWE, who if WWE was good, they would dominate all these awards just off the visibility, the access, the people that are inclined to want to watch WWE first. It's the most accessible and it's the biggest promotion, right? And I'm well, since they are not good, I don't think we have to cap around it. I think it's a situation where their fans want everything. They want the They want the awards. They want them to have the most money. They want them to have all the wrestlers signed to them. They want just every piece of it as far as like, and they don't want the scrutiny or whatever.
Well, yeah. I mean, but to be fair, like, because they wrap themselves in the identity of the promotion, like, it's not necessarily so much them like making these complaints or criticisms on behalf of the E. It's on behalf of them because they identify as like this is them being rejected from a critical standpoint, and it's like
you want the commercial success, but you want to rule the underground too somehow,
right?
Like, it don't work like that.
And that's the same stuff we used to talk about with Drake, right? Or other rappers when they're getting these complaints about stuff about like I didn't win a Grammy, and it's like, bro, the Grammys ain't nothing like, you know, the Oscars when it comes to the obscurest of stuff and the most humanistic of stuff is going to win over something that's, you know, had 150 million in the first weekend. Like that's not even the same thing. Like if you have just a great album that sold a shit ton of records, your ass is getting nominated in your category. That's the end of it. Like that doesn't happen in the Oscars. Like you're not gonna have some movie that people absolutely love and say is a great movie and also be super successful if it's some sort of type of like blockbuster type of movie. It's never gonna happen. And people understand that for certain awards, right? And I've been conditioned because of the precedent, right, that's set into it. But when it comes to these wrestling awards, people lose their minds that like WWE is not going to win like the Observer stuff if they don't have a great year. And it's like, that's not like that's never been the case. Like, and another thing that people also have short mindset on is like people will say there's some super anti-WWE bias when it comes to these awards. And it's like, oh, Vince McMahon or Triple H definitely weren't going to win Booker of the Year. Oh, you mean 4-time winner Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
Including
back-to-back winner. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, like, and then, you know, I was like, I didn't mention this when we were talking to one of the people that brought this up. It was like, Triple H already won Booker of the Year for Observer Awards before.
I think he won. Yeah, I was going to say, I was like 2016 or 15, something like that. And he interrupted a Gato, like, year.
Yes. So, but, like, they don't know. They just know what happened this year. They don't know about the history. And it's like, I can see why that happens, but it's like, it happens every single year. How many times do we have to kind of tell you these same things, right? And it gets annoying.
And it's not that they don't, like, it's like, it's not that they don't learn, it's they don't want to learn. Like,
yeah. Because it's like, it's not actually, well, it's two parts. It's them being able to dismiss whatever, you know, is happening outside of whatever they're watching. And two, it's also like their chance to be, I don't know, like, it's really weird to be like counterculture to like critical wrestling, like high level critical wrestling, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And all, like, I don't think all awards are for everybody. Like, everybody's not supposed to win every award. Like, right. The thing I love seeing was when people were like, yo, this is a small niche thing. This doesn't represent all wrestling fans. I'm like, I don't want it to represent all wrestling fans, or else it just turns into Squared Circle Reddit. Like,
right.
It's like, I want the people that are like, these are the hardcore wrestling fans. This belongs to us. Like this is what we say, right?
I get where you're coming from. That for me is like, look, if you're going to leave it up to find the best pro wrestling in the world, because this is an NBA where like of the top 450 basketball players in the world, at least 350 of them are all collected together. This is a performance sport, right? I don't want to say performance art, whatever you want to call it. Like, this is people fake fighting and putting artistic expression on it. And it's like, this isn't about like the best athletes doing this. It could be, but it's not, right? So from that perspective, that means that a lot of people that should be able to do this from all around the world, all walks of life. So, like, there's so much of it, you can't see all of it. So, like, I'm going to rely on a bunch of people that are watching shit that I don't watch and also watch things that I watch to say, like, these things are really well done in these particular aspects. And if it's something that I missed, then, like, I'll see a name and I might want to check it out. Like, if you had told me, I don't know if she made the list this year, for most charismatic, right? Maki Ito made it last year. I don't know if she made it this year. But unless she was ever in AEW, she never makes that list. But I was telling you before AEW even started, like, or maybe before she ever got AEW, like, bro, she's one of the most charismatic wrestlers in the world. And then lo and behold, people saw her and they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty easy. Like that, and that's not necessarily a me thing. It's like there are tons of things out there that you are unaware of, right? Like you don't know what you don't know. Right. And people like, do the whole, how could it possibly be? And it's like, well, I mean, if you're relying on the creator of, or if you're relying on the 70-something-year-old white guy to show you all the cool things that are out there in this medium, you're just wrong.
Like, and that's it. That's all you do. Like, and
yeah. And I'm saying anything. It'd be the same thing if I was like, if Rossi Ogawa was the only person that can tell you how women's wrestling works, or Gato and Jado are the only people that tell you how like men's Japanese wrestling works. Like that'd be wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's a case of where they, I don't know how to say it. It's like I lost my train of thought, but I think yeah, let's just move on. but yeah,
I mean, a lot of copium, a lot of
people just not understanding. And
how could it be that Tony Khan won Booker of the Year? And I was like, I could tell you because
let's see,
because Triple H didn't get the book until July 22nd. You fucking morons. He wasn't even like, name me whatever sport MVP you watch where someone wins the MVP by playing like 44% of the season. Tell me the year.
The only thing I can think of is
a baseball pitcher, maybe.
Bill Walton in like 1977 played like 50 games, right? And that was because
half a season.
Look, it was 50 games, and it was like a horrible year for the rest of the NBA for whatever reason, right? And the Blazers were like 50-12 at that time or some shit, something like that. They had an absurd record or some shit like that.
But that's not.
Excuse me, 1978 season. Sorry.
Yeah. You have to win a title. Yeah. So, like, I'm just thinking of it, and I'm just like, okay, so, all right, you have that.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say now.
Okay, go ahead.
Like this is the reason why it was so imperative, I think, to keep sites like Cage Match pure, because these are the mediums that we use to track this stuff. So when people start fucking that voting up, and it just like gets real muddy as far as like when we're the people that care about determining the best of this shit, which I would count us among those people, like. Mm-hmm. And why in good faith, and like, in counting star ratings and looking stuff like that, because we actually kind of want to document what we feel the best of this shit is, where it's not just like where we're taking everything into account. Like we're looking at all the fucking promotions we can, and it's like, and even then we're still never gonna see everything.
Right.
So it's like, I think they just want it all. Like.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the last like I think I've seen like 2 Rev Pro shows in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm not pretending. Like I know where my holes are as far as wow, that's a clip. I know where my holes are. Like I know where my glaring holes are for criticism and being able to critique or judge whatever is happening, whatever region. Like, and I just think that people are like, I don't care. Like we don't watch much Mexican wrestling,
right? And that's like. That like I hate that
it's on fucking YouTube for free every single Friday.
Right.
I'm subscribed to it. I see it every single time, like every Friday. Like all of the stuff. I think it's Lucha Mexico. I see CMLL stuff. I just scroll right by it and move on to the next thing. Like the Battle in the Valley show was like the first time I seen Volador Jr. in like 2 years. Like,
looks quite different, don't he? Like
yeah. Yes, he does. So yeah, I see the discourse, and then like it's like, you kind of get weary of it because you see it year after year after year, and it's like, I understand why you're missing this stuff, but like I still like, I'm tired. It's like the same thing when like, like having to hold the hand of a white person to try to get them to understand race. Like, bro, I'm getting weary. I'm tired of having to hold people's hands, explain to them this shit. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm just exhausted, and I don't want to go through it. And like at this point, I'm ready just to just dunk on somebody. Like I just am. Like that's why I sent out that tweet about like, hey man, if y'all want the NBA, if y'all want the MTV Video Music Awards of pro wrestling, like, cool. Something like that should exist. I think that'd be cool. But like, y'all, I'm don't the whole hand holding shit. Like, look, man, if you think that like I don't know what was the best Roman Reigns match last year.
Probably say maybe maybe him
yeah.
and Drew McIntyre, maybe.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like if you think Clash of the Castle is like a match of your contender, like I'm sorry, I'm just going to ignore you. I'm like, okay, it was great, but or it was really good, maybe even great, depending on it. But like, I'm not going no further than that with you. Like, I'm sorry. Give me Starlight Kid Nazumi. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me like one of them Ospreay Okadas. Give me any of the like Aussie Open and Ospreay stuff from AEW. But yeah, like I guess